At some point, we have to question things. If we're doing good work, why aren't we getting lasting results? If you keep getting the same type of result, your system is probably designed to deliver it. It's not about finding who made the mistake and training them not to make it. It's looking at the whole thing from a different perspective. So when we see a recurring problem or performance plateau, the moment we realize it's happening, we should be thinking, what's our system trying to do? And from what we've seen, this is where a lot of organizations get stuck because nothing looks broken enough to force a huge change, and people are picking up the drop balls and putting out fires as they find them. You're surviving. Nothing improves enough, though, to reach the targets. We see it in behavior first. That's the thing that's visible. We see someone skip a step or push something through. A defect shows up late. So it's natural to focus on whatever behavior led to it. We coach, we retrain, we correct the mistakes individuals or teams make. But behavior is the last thing in the chain. Whatever it was that caused or enabled that behavior, that thing came first. And we should be seeking it out. So not asking the who made the mistake, focusing on where did the system stop carrying the load. We're trying to figure out at what point the structure began to encourage or enable the wrong behavior. Because when the system stops carrying the load, who compensates? The people. And that changes behavior. And to see that, we need to look somewhere else. Think of your organization like a bridge. You have to carry a load, just like real bridges. You have customers, you got demand, other pressure, wind in the real world. If structure is designed for the loads it's facing, things go smoothly. If your structure isn't designed for the environment, strain shows up in the people forced to compensate for it. And so we can walk through this one layer at a time. Reality, out here. It's the world your system is trying to operate in, the stresses associated with being there. In the real world, with real bridges, yes, we're talking about the wind, earthquakes, rain, high or low temperatures. For organizations, that's the labor market, competitive pressure, regulatory, profit margins, scandals. Reality doesn't change so that your organization can deal with it. Your organization or team has to figure out how to deal with the load. But before we can do that, we have to actually see it. Awareness is how clearly you understand reality. Do we get the market? Do we know the signals and are they visible? Are our people speaking up when they see something? Do problems surface early? If awareness is weak, the whole system is built on missing information. If awareness is weak, the entire structure is vulnerable to whatever stresses and loads that already are existing. It's like pouring the foundation for a bridge in Alaska, but somehow using materials that aren't durable in low temperatures. It doesn't matter how strong the rest of the bridge is. When the footing washes away, everything else goes with it. But if awareness is solid, from there, we can decide what matters. So purpose sets the priorities and defines our trade-offs. When we're under pressure, our teams, our people are going to protect whatever makes sense in that moment. What's supposed to happen is purpose establishes those trade-offs and rules make the purpose real. They should clearly state in the rules, this thing matters more than that thing. They establish who can decide, what things have to be checked or approved, what can't be skipped. It's like the guardrails that keep things on track. Instructions for avoiding problems and making progress. A purpose without genuine trade-offs and formalized within rules. It tells us that any decision is okay, including making a right turn off the side of the bridge. Generally not the best of ideas, but if we get the rules right, the next layer would be systems. This is our tools or workflows, the processes we use. Done right, systems help people do the right thing more easily, better, faster, and more consistently. In other words, systems should serve purpose and embed rules so that they're harder to violate than to follow. But what if we build a bridge and don't really have the time or funds to deliver the systems we need? That's a common issue. Think of the biggest bridge in your state, and now think of it with no lane lines during rush hour. How do you think that's going to go? How long before people are driving on the curbs or driving into oncoming traffic? Organizations without systems are right there. They are creating a system that is only going to be experiencing chaos under load. When systems do have rules embedded, work can flow more smoothly. But without connection to the rules, People may feel that they can safely work around them. Like if the rules don't enforce things well enough, you end up seeing when you're in traffic that guy that's taking the parking lane around you. But when systems and rules don't align with each other or the organization purpose, and the pressure is clear, people adapt. They make assumptions. They start ignoring those lane lines or creating their own so they can get their job done, which is what execution is. This is where the organization's main work actually happens. It's where we see the output, behavior, the errors, results. As I said, when something fails, this is where we usually notice it. Execution can only be as good as our awareness, our purpose, rules, and systems allow it to be. So if our awareness is weak, purpose unclear, rules inconsistent, if we don't have the right systems to support the work, execution is what absorbs the strain. If you're more than a couple of years out of school, this is going to feel familiar. A team makes a change, maybe as part of an improvement project. Things start to firm up, numbers start to move, and things start to look better. And then slowly things go back. Old patterns return, workarounds come back. You get snapback. Individual heroism can only last so long. Eventually, it returns to what's sustainable. And that's only going to be as good as those systems and rules are built to make things sustainable. So instead of starting with training and behavior change, find the flaw in the structure. Each bridge layer shows strain differently. It's not just noise. It's giving you direction, telling you what needs to be realigned. If we only ever look to performance and execution, we're basically saying the people who drive on our bridge are responsible for how well it holds up to the element, to earthquakes, fires, traffic. And it's not the responsibility of the bridge's engineers or an organization's strategic advisors. If cars are regularly driving into oncoming traffic, teetering on the edge of the bridge, is that more likely to be fixed with more driving lessons or with stronger guardrails, better lane dividers that prevent well-intentioned drivers from doing those things? Start with the first lowest structural move. Ideally, there's something in your bridge somewhere, a solid layer that's reliable, and you can shift the layers above to connect and align with that. Sometimes you might have to go all the way back down to bedrock and improve your awareness so that you're able to adapt to reality. Systems don't change just because we understand that they're not working right. They change when something structural actually moves. And that's the gap we have to close, from understanding to action. So the way you move forward, first acknowledge that in a lot of cases, you have to have a two-pronged approach. Something immediate to stop the bleeding at a performance level. So acknowledging that that's probably going to have to rely on personal heroics, individuals. And then something else meant to provide or to prevent future issues. And ideally, both would start small. The goal isn't to rip and replace your entire organization or retrain everyone. It's to establish a base that can support the load. So we're talking about decision rules, an incentive that actually reinforces the behavior that you want, a systematized workflow rather than one-off, clarified trade-offs, something that shifts how the work actually happened, built on top of that lowest stable layer of your bridge. And it should be small enough to test. Because when people see a change working in practice, that it builds confidence, momentum. And that's how real change begins, not with the big rollout, we're changing everything, but with a clear, solid first step. The hard part is knowing which change is going to hold. And most interventions don't fail because they're wrong. They fail because they're aimed at that wrong layer. The system we've developed helps identify that. So you're not guessing where to act, and you can move faster and with more confidence. It's not just the senior most executives. It's bigger than improving processes or just getting people to behave differently. You shape the system that people work inside of. You influence what gets protected, how work moves, and whether or not your organization can handle the real world pressure. When the structure is right for the situation, your people don't have to fight the system to do the right thing. They can focus on the work. Because when the system can carry the load and not require individual heroics alone, the results don't just improve, they hold.